Good morning, everyone. My name is Tori Smith, and I monitor a child trafficking operation. And there's a lot of extra information that comes up from these men who rape and murder children. And I like to share what I see. I like to share what I've experienced and what I've learned about all of this. And it's been quite an ordeal. This began in my life in January of 2012. And so that's, excuse me, 50 or 51 months that this has been going on. Yeah, 51 months. 4 years plus 3 months. And, you know, this weekend's been really disturbing because two things, you know, most of what's happened to me I've had to research and learn. But as time goes on, like today, this weekend, with the official start of the Holocaust, you know, even though the detonation devices of biological weapons they tried to set off in Los Angeles in their attempt to murder 15 million people didn't happen. You know, and I've been through so many things like that, and it's kind of like, you know, I'm not really worried about it because the Galactics always take the weapons. Before, there was a weekend where Dick Cheney hired Mossad to plant 31 nuclear bombs, and they were all confiscated, you know, before they could go off, or before they were detonated. But what's really, you know, what comes up in here, because in today's report, there are so many numbers that are the same. And, well, there's three things that are really bothering me. One is how specific children are targeted. And this time it's Jewish and Christian children are being targeted, but also there's other children, and they consider most children trash people. Like they're worth nothing more than people here on this planet. In their minds, they're worth nothing more than to be raped and murdered. And then they take their bodies and after they're been killed, and they just toss them into a tank like the trash. And they call certain groups of people trash people. But yet, you know, that what came out, you know, or that I finally realized or whatever, is how calculated this is. And in other words, it's not like, you know, they just grab a bunch of children, you know, drug them and put them on these tables and then take turns raping them until they're finished or whatever. But there's certain specific numbers of children selected. There's specific numbers of men selected. Sometimes women, certain numbers, like, you know, the governor of New Mexico, who's murdered a lot of children by driving a stake through the heart. Other politicians like Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, you know, others. Similar people, the Bush women, you know, how it's just so calculated. And I think that, you know, I don't think anybody could do this without becoming disturbed mentally, because it's really, really affecting me day after day of this. And, but another thing is, you know, and this other guy's running for president, named Andrew D. Basiago, who's a military man, and I don't like any of them. This guy's raped over 100 kids and he's murdered 10. And, you know, and looking at his DNA, they had this thing called the Mars Project, and all these military bases in Mars or whatever, and I really don't know what they're doing up there because I spent so much time doing this. But because they keep coming into my home, and I'm a little out of it this morning because I just got raped by this guy named Trevor, who's Army Special Ops, which they do like what the CIA does, and some state police officers, some from Texas, Ohio, and Indiana. And I got raped 7 times just recently this morning, and I'm wondering about how they get here. But in looking at Basiago's DNA, I saw that he and others in the military were teleporting back and forth between here and Mars. And it just finally hit me this morning is that's how they're coming into the house. That, you know, because all of a sudden, you know, there's people there, and it's like, you know, I'm way past the point of asking who they are. Like, who are you? You know, because it's pointless, and it's just happened so many times. And But this whole thing about the beginning of the Holocaust, I've been saying for a long time that all the Nazis, I think it was 90.25% of all the Nazis, Nazi soldiers, war criminals, and scientists were here in America, except for they were in different bodies. And then what also came up, which I wasn't even planning on and I didn't really notice before, was this state of Israel. And I found that 76% of the government of Israel are all Nazi war criminals. And this one man named Ariel Sharon worked directly for Adolf Hitler, and he murdered 3,600 people in World War I and over 76,000 Jews in World War II. And I have a big problem with that, because I'm, like I've said before many times, I'm part Jewish. Not much, but a little. It was some of my elders, my ancestors were very strong, in the Jewish faith. So I'm Jewish by blood, not by practicing religion. But just the way and then the way they speak about it, it's like they speak, when they don't speak about people, it's always, the Jews and the others, or the Jew, and they're specifically referring to those they're planning to kill. It's always the Jews and the rest, the Jews and the others, and it's just so disturbing how, because they think, well, they're criminally insane, they just want to kill a lot of people, but it's not. It's very, very calculated. And Easter Sunday yesterday, 176 children from 3 sources were taken to 7 locations. And NATO, once again, abducted a group of Jewish children, 66 Jewish children. Not 65 or 67, 66 Jewish children were abducted in Europe. And 12 NATO war criminals raped 17 of them on the way here, one time each. And these 66 Jewish children were refugees from the USA war crime against the Ukraine, where 2.2 million people have been murdered by the United States. The Air Force brought in 86 Vietnamese children, and they were abducted from orphanage in North Vietnam. 18 Air Force males raped 34 of these children 36 times on the way here. And then ICE, which is another child trafficking agency, they abducted 22 children from Texas, abducted in southern Texas near the border of Mexico, and they were all taken to the My Lab in Houston. And the children, the breakdown is basically all the same, it's just, but the repeating numbers. The children went to Washington, D.C., My Lab number 1. 13 children were gang raped by a group of 126 males, a total of 387 times. 14 U.S. senators and 10 House of Representative congressmen were there, CIA, Secret Service, FBI, and then the rest were all military. And all 13 children were killed with the 17-inch Illuminati daggers to celebrate the start of the Holocaust weekend. You say, well, how do you know that? Well, I went in, number one, because I can hear them. And, that's a lot of times, when I try to figure out, the name of a specific type of reptilian, and they would come in and start yelling at me, you idiot, this is how you pronounce it. It's something, not that. And I'm like, well, whatever, who cares? But all of this is, because normally they choke the children to death during rape, and they like the moment of the child's death to be at the same moment they ejaculate into the child. And, and that's calculated because they get high off of that. And then, but this time, each and every child, all 176 children that were murdered on Easter Sunday, were all killed by Illuminati dagger. And to Washington, D.C., My Lab number 2, 13 children, again, were gang raped by a group of 141 males from the Pentagon and military, a total of 402 times. And all children murdered by dagger through the heart. Wilmington, Delaware, 10 children were gang raped by a group of 56 males. Again, the 56 I figured out because of the 56 Rothschilds. Now, 56 Rothschilds were arrested, but there were 56 Rothschilds that were different than the other Rothschilds. They had to drink human blood and use technology to appear human, because they're not human. 58% of the people on this planet are human, and the rest are blended species, have 2 or 3 species of people in them. It's just like that movie, The Fifth Wave, except they're not the others, they're the reptilians. And a lot of people who are reptilian humans, they don't even know, because we look so similar on the outside that many reptilian humans don't really realize that they're not human, or especially being controlled by others. In Wilmington, Delaware, 10 children were gang raped by a group of 56 males 143 times. DARPA CEO, one DARPA, one CEO, one DARPA, one CIA, and 54 CEOs and corporate executives, mostly from war criminal contractor companies. And like Aerostar, who tried to set off those bombs in Los Angeles this weekend, and their goal was to murder 15 million people, declare martial law, and throw us all into the concentration camps. And all these 10 children killed by the Illuminati daggers. Houston, 12 children were gang raped by a group of 66 males, a total of 181 times. Texas State Police, Secret Service, 5 U.S. senators, and the rest were all military. And all children, again, murdered by Illuminati daggers through the heart. Denver, 33 children were gang raped by a group of 316 males, all military except for 12 state police from Colorado, Texas, and Indiana. And these 33 children were raped 966 times, divisible by 3 or whatever. I don't know what it means. I'm not into numerology, so I don't, and I'm not criminally insane, so I don't understand what they're doing with all these numbers. And all these children, all 33, were murdered with the dagger through the heart. And then Dulce, they had separated out Christian children, 29 Christian children, were gang raped by a group of 276 males, all military, 966 times, which is the same amount of times raped in Denver. And these Christian children were all ritually sacrificed on Easter Sunday, to celebrate the official start of the Holocaust weekend, is what it's being called in America. Well, not all over America, just by the people doing it. And then in Roswell, they took all 66 children of Jewish faith. 66 Jewish children were taken to Roswell, and they were gang raped by a group of 666 males. And, because what had come up was, and then it was 1,998 times. I'm like, wait a minute, there's something going on there. So I multiplied 666 by 3 and got 1998. So 1998 was a match in the calculator, the way it came up as total number of times the children were raped. So 66 children, 666 males, raped 3 times each. And, and I had put a note about how calculated this is and what's going on. Because, I always say that I don't believe for a second that they're going to be able to pull off another Holocaust. Because what I see in them all the time is, and now it's getting a lot more intense, but I really don't think it's going to be pulled off. But the ultimate goal for these child traffickers, and the reason, one of the main reasons why they're doing all these human sacrifices is to set up the energies to pull that off. But we clear them out every day. I work, many times I've always said I work directly for Mother and Father God in heaven. But really, you could just say, I'm devoted. I'm devoted to the light and serve all the light. And, because there's the light and the dark, and it's just that simple. And we purposely and specifically clear these energies. And in other words, it's basically God, all the energies that they create with these human sacrifices are basically eliminated by God and His helpers, and I'm one of them. We do all this energy work. And, and kind of take it from there. And a lot of times heaven won't tell me what's going on, because then I'll know. And, and then they can read our minds that way. But, And there was something else I wanted to say, but I'm a little out of it today. I'm sorry. But I can't be the only one who's disturbed by this, that Christian and Jewish children are specifically selected and gang raped and murdered in a very specific way that to bring about their goals. I mean, that's calculated. That means people are just sitting around trying to figure out that's how desperate these people are to murder. You have to sit around and figure out all these details and stuff, and that to me just really shows how really they are. Because I don't consider any children junk children, and I think we all are special and wonderful beings. And it's just really a shame that all this is going on. But at least 15 million people in Los Angeles weren't murdered yesterday. So God bless your hearts for your prayers. I know we have over 1,000 people who have created the intent for this to come to an end. And heaven says, that's what it was. Heaven says that the final stage of divine justice began with the arrest of Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the others. That was last weekend. And think about it. When in America, this is the first time in American history, was because I never acknowledged he was a president because he's not legally qualified to be that. But most people do. But when can you think of the last time a president was arrested and removed and taken to another galaxy? He's not coming back. None of these people who are being arrested are coming back. None of them. And I'm working on a report about the trial process, because there's no judges and there's no attorneys, and it's the person on trial who determines the outcome. Isn't that funny? That's the way it is in a galactic trial. Anyway, God bless your hearts, and I hope that you had a nice Easter weekend. Take care.